Tom, I want to start with this Arkansas football team. Good news. You had really three things happen over the weekend. Malik Hornsby coming back after initially being in the transfer portal. You got Drew Sanders to commit. You got Dwight McGlothern to commit. Do you think the collective college football analysts outside of just local media and fans here in the state of Arkansas are starting to pick up what Sam Pittman is doing in Fayetteville?
Oh, I think they are. Good morning, everybody. I think they understand that he has connected to this state. He certainly is able to connect to a locker room, and there's value to your players believing in you and what you say. Because I think the last 2 years, you put a different coach in there, and they don't have the number of wins they had. So, there's still work to be done. I think they still probably need some help at defensive end, but it helps to get the two guys you just mentioned, Sanders and McGlothern, and to get Hornsby back, and we'll see what happens at the quarterback room there. But it's going to make for an interesting spring, and I just think that the pieces they'll have in place, I think the O-line should be, a little bit better in the system, and if they can get some kind of a pass rush and fill up at linebacker a little bit more, maybe they'll have another quality team.
Tom, I thought that Arkansas, with Malik Hornsby entering the portal, would go get a quarterback, but now with him coming back, do you expect them to add another quarterback, even though Cade Renfro tore his ACL and you got some other stuff going on? What do you expect in the next couple months with that position in recruiting and adding in the transfer portal?
Well, I'm sure it's something they talk about a lot, possibly daily on. And Sam Pittman did say, if we do that, we would want to talk to KJ and Malik, talk to them about that. A lot of it depends on what happens with Landon Rogers. Where does he really want to play? Where do they think he has the best chance of hitting the field in the next couple of years? I mean, we saw some practices with him at tight end, and he looked pretty dang natural. And that room looked a lot different when Trey Knox and Landon Rogers were both in it. So, I don't know. I think it's a toss-up, and it's certainly something you don't want to discount because, an injury here or there, and you could be in dire straits.
But Ted, the reports of Malik Hornsby being at wide receiver, we know his speed, one of the fastest guys on the team. We've seen flashes when he ran the ball. Finding ways, whether it's wide receiver and not at quarterback, to get the ball in his hands kind of excites me, Tom.
It really does, and there was a couple of times during the year where he got the edge on some teams, and it felt like, all right, the full Malik Hornsby deal, it felt like in the A&M game when he had to be in there, and it was 20 plays, the ball was on the ground a couple of times, there was several, negative plays, and it felt like they were hanging on by a thread, but after the tip interception, off of a helmet and bumper pool, and Monteric Brown makes the pick, they get a field goal out of that, and you can't discount how big that was in that game because it was 17-10 at the time. Blake Kern had a chance to catch the touchdown pass, which would have given Malik a TD pass on the year, but they didn't. They got the field goal. Yeah, but you think about that Penn State game, you had a defense that had been out there a lot of snaps. They did not have a lot of depth in that bowl game, Penn State, and he got the edge on those guys, and he was just gone, and he had 2 or 3 of those long runs, and it was impressive to see.
When you look at the transfer portal players coming in, Sanders, McGlothern, we were looking at some of these guys that they're coming in with 3 years to play, and you're losing some guys that have a year to play. Did Arkansas trade up in your estimate? What's your evaluation of what happened over the weekend?
Yeah, at this stage, you'd have to say if you add Landon Jackson and Hazelwood into the mix, net gain at this point, I'd say, because you got Hornsby back. But I still like to see another defensive end wind up in their camp.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Murphy with us here on the Morning Rush, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports. Tom, let's talk about this basketball team. At one point, you're down 8. It didn't look good. And then all of a sudden, you got things rolling. Jalen Williams with back-to-back big plays. Stanley Moody with a big offensive rebound. What did Saturday tell you about the resolve and maybe what's to come of this basketball team?
Yeah, it was a real grungy game. Never got into a good flow. And I don't know, I guess that favored the Razorbacks. Even though they were more of an up-and-down team last year. But my top take is this. I'm so happy for Keith Smart that his mom shows up. He hadn't seen her in 3 years, Miss Rose. He gets to go visit her to start with, and then she's at the game. Carlos Temple Jr., who's now on the board of supervisors at LSU, hugs him after the game because Keith is a Baton Rouge guy. And just so happy. This is a lifetime memory they made down there winning that game against a team that was number 12 and just rolling. But Arkansas had a brilliant defensive plan, and Keith Smart credited Gus Argeneau after the game with what they wanted to do. They did not let Eason go right-handed. They made him go left, and he didn't like that. He wasn't comfortable, even though he got 13. Darius Days and Murray, they really held down. I mean, really frustrated them. And if you watch that Florida game that preceded this, they trapped Florida. They made them very uncomfortable on offense. They got key baskets in half-court sets over and over again, and Arkansas just limited that. So it seems to me Arkansas has turned a page in their confidence level, finding out what everybody's roles are, and their defensive. It's their defensive improvement that was the most marked to me.
So that's a lot of happy Razorback fans. Some of those happy Razorback fans were not happy with the outcome of the Dallas Cowboys and San Francisco 49ers game. Tom, I know you probably got a chance to watch some of the NFL games this weekend. What did you think about how that Cowboys game played out and just the decision of the QB draw and just everything that went into that?
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them. I'd like to have seen them have a chance to get one more play, throw for the end zone with a chance to win the game. Didn't happen. I hurt for Cowboys fans because, you know how passionate they are. And, since the 95 Super Bowl, they've got, 3 wild card wins over like the Lions and the Seahawks and somebody, and that's it. They haven't gone past the wild card round. And I think that Dak Prescott is a winner. I think their defense has improved. Maybe next year, they can add a couple of pieces. But everyone said, I didn't know enough about the matchup myself to comment, but everyone said that 49ers was a bad matchup for them because the 49ers like to play the bully ball. Well, they took over pretty early in the game, and even though they almost choked it away like Shanahan did with our Super Bowl a few years ago, the Cowboys couldn't take advantage.
Yep. So you mentioned the choke word there. I've seen a few describe this. Ty had it in the notes this morning as the Cowboys choked. Was this a choke job by the Cowboys?
They had a chance to come all the way back and win it. I don't know. Choke's a tough word. The Niners almost choked it away, in my view. But they were – look, guys like Deebo Samuel, when you look at the way the 49ers deployed him, and then you think about the kid's name for Kansas City last night, number 1. Look at the weapons Kansas City has between Hill and Hardman and this number 1 guy. They got speed all over the place. Yeah. You got Kelsey. You got Mahomes. I mean, I love watching the Kansas City Chiefs play because of all their weapons and the way that little fake dink pass and then the underhand shovel pass for the touchdown. That was brilliant.
Yeah. See, I look at it, or kind of sum up the Cowboys' end of the year like this. They played in a weak NFC East that they didn't have as much competition. In the last few weeks, they knew their playoff spot. They knew their playoff destiny. And I don't want to say they checked out, but they did not have to play for their spot the last 3 weeks of the season. The 49ers, on the other hand, they had to fight tooth and nail to get to that point. And you could maybe make the case they were in playoff mode for a month, where the Cowboys weren't in playoff mode for a month, and I think that was the edge in the ball game the 49ers needed.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that assessment. It's not like the Cowboys had to coast, but they weren't on their best edge.
Right. Sense of urgency.
And the 49ers had to do that.
Yeah.
Tom, we appreciate your time as always, man. Come Thursday, we'll, talk a little more about this Arkansas basketball team. And I know the football, some of the coaches said that they're not done in the recruiting side of things, so maybe there'll be another commitment or two that we get to discuss this weekend as well, because it's next week is the final week, right, Tommy?
24th is your last day to enroll.
So by next Monday. So we'll do that on Thursday, Tom.
Sounds good, y'all. Talk to you then.
BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile wagering to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.